Hello, good afternoon, and good morning and good evening to everybody who's tuned in to this webinar. A very warm welcome to all the esteemed speakers and delegates at SSF Global's Leadership Interaction 2024 Europe Series, scheduled for today from 11:30 CET for Europe. We're delighted to have you all to join this webinar and share your experiential insights on the topic co-piloting the digital transformation vision, crafting winning execution strategies for success. We are very happy to have seasoned leaders joining us today. And to quickly give you some of the people who would be tuned in, I'll just share my screen. Yeah. So we have with us Eric. He's the chairman for Brightly. We have Robert Baer, head of finance and controlling from Homasan Pharma. We have Joao from Uber. He's the program lead for shared services. And we have Kamal Merks, IT director for on-prem services at Alcon. And we have with us here Urs Ulrich Katzenstein. He's the senior advisor and head for Quintus Global, and would also be moderating the session. Welcome, everybody. With this, may I request everybody to come live on the screen. For the audience here, we will not be enabling the video and the audio settings for you. However, you have the Q&A box for you. So while you have any of the questions for any of the speakers over here, you can share the questions in the Q&A box and we'll be taking it up. So thank you. Over to you, Urs.
Thank you very much, Pallavi, and good morning to everybody here in Europe, and good afternoon to our audience in the Middle East and Asia. Also, a warm welcome from my side to this leadership interaction. It's an honor to have Eric, Jar, Camille, and Robert with us today. Each of our speakers brings a lot of experience and insights that are crucial as we deal with the challenges of digital transformation, our fast-changing business world. Each of them will share a quick case of their own business environment. The digital transformation is a crucial topic nowadays in our business world. Just last week, I was able to complete my self-certification in that topic at the IMD, which further fueled my passion and understanding on how critical this journey is. To our audience, thank you for joining us. Our participation and questions, your participation and questions really make the difference. Please feel free to post some questions during the webinar, and we will be happy to answer as many as possible. Let's start this journey and let's get started with our discussion without further ado. So first up, we have Eric Vasesha, chairman of Brightly and in Switzerland, and he will share his views on digital transformation with us. Thank you, Eric.
Yes, thank you, Urs, for the kind introduction. Hello, everybody. So speaking about co-piloting the digital transformation, we at Brightly, we developed a little compass, to navigate these all the topics that come across if you are doing a digital transformation. I might share this compass now with you. Let's see whether it works. I hope everybody can see the screen now. Yeah. So this is the only slide I will put forward, and it's our compass at Brightly that we usually use when we do large digital transformations, and it really helps to not losing sight of the big picture, we believe, and it shows three things. The first thing is the external forces that are here in the grayish circle space. Let's start with that. We have external forces we need to watch when we pull up a digital transformation. Some buzzwords are the VUCA world. Maybe you're familiar with this. It's a world with a lot of velocity, uncertainty, complexity, also ambiguity. There are many disruptive forces. Also, there is a plenty of regulatory complexity which needs to be taken into account, and the whole exponential change is really something that influences the things you can do as an organization in doing the digital transformation. And in 4 dimensions, we have these 4 squares. These are the topics that you can influence directly as an organization. So you have kind of control over the topics depicted here in the squares. And I'd like to briefly introduce you to the 4 dimensions, as we call them. The first is, it's the business model, basically. So in a digital world, the business models are changing. Yeah? It's not only that the paper gets digital, as we all know, but it is that you will be confronted as an organization with completely changed business models. And this needs to be taken into consideration, and an organization needs to develop kind of an opinion and the view on these changing business models. The second point is the costs, in this business square, as I call it. And the costs, this is certainly something that many think of process automation. And process automation is always the most pressing and most important topic to our clients when we speak about digitalization. So we observe that many organizations just focus on process automation. We certainly believe that is not enough. Now you can see the laser pointer. So it's not only converting paper into PDFs and doing like moving or shuffling paper around from one stack to another stack to make this digital. This is certainly important, but in our belief, certainly not the only thing that needs to be considered in a digital transformation. The second thing is the tech stack, just some buzzwords here. We believe a company needs to be very clear about its vision for the future tech stack. Then the third thing, the data, of course, everybody speaks about data, the new gold or the new oil, and that needs to be pulled up and made usable. So also here, there needs to be a clear strategy. And last, but certainly not least, it's the culture shift. It has something to do going agile, implementing new ways of leadership that resonates with a younger workforce, and that is crucial to really move forward on the roadmap. Speaking about the roadmap, once a company has a vision about what they want to achieve in these 4 spaces, it's important in our belief to first have an assessment of the current state. So where do we stand as an organization? And then you have the vision, where do you want to go? So what is the future state? And with the current state, you see the gap that needs to be closed to achieve the future state, and that's the roadmap, right? So analysis of the current states, clear vision, and opinion about the future state creates the roadmap for the transformation. And the last thing that we always try to orchestrate and manage in a quite in an impactful way is how you really implement. If once you have a clear future state of the organization when it comes to digital services, then where to start? And that's the question. And many organizations, I notice, fail if they start on enterprise level. Yeah, we strongly and firmly believe it's not the right point to start a digital transformation. The right point to start is on a product team level. Yeah, so it's like a sandbox where once you have done the homework, current state, future state of all the topics we just have touched, then we recommend to start with one of your most promising products or even most important products. So with a little team, with a little service, that also needs to be a must-win battle. So it must be a very prominent thing in an organization so that you get a real exposure. And then in iterations, once a product team is on the right track in all these 4 dimensions, then it is easier to scale it to a business unit level and at the end also enterprise-wide. So these are like our little takeaways, our compass, how to navigate a digital transformation. And it served us well. Certainly it's just a high-level view. But having said that, I hope, it resonates also a little bit with you, and I'm happy and eager to learn more from the other speakers.
Thank you, Eric. For me, one question is what I didn't get out of your chart is how do you measure whether you reach the objectives of your projects, of your transformation projects? How do you set that up? How do you define these KPIs, so to say?
Yeah, typically we use OKR methodology, where you have objectives and then concrete measurable key results. And then there is the debate, what is the right frequency to check in on these objectives and key results and review them. So we are advocates for a quarterly assessment and review. And so it's quite a tight monitoring then if you have it quarterly. And with the OKR framework, you make it measurable. As the saying goes, what you can't measure, you cannot manage. And the OKRs are, to our belief, good methods to get your head around that.
And when you work with your customers, when they contact you and want to transform something, do they usually already have the objectives ready, or are you going through this with them in the project or beginning or at the middle or the end project to define that? Because it also reflects again on your services in the end, whether they're happy.
That is true, and actually it's a good point, and usually, as it always is the case, and that's nothing bad in that meaning, but you always find a mess, when you start the project. And with this compass, we try iteratively, in many iterations, we always come back to the compass. And in iterations, together with the client, we can improve the understanding. Also the OKR process, which is one part, and for sure, if they already have something in place, we can try to improve it if we see some things there. Otherwise, it's an iteration, and you get better with over time. And I think that's an important understanding that needs to be set clear in the beginning, that it is a journey and nothing will just fall in place perfectly after 1 quarter. A digital transformation typically needs 2-3 years unless you really see something, and then even longer to have the company-wide benefits. But if you start with the product team, as I just mentioned before, you will see, or you should see, the results you are expecting very fast, because on a product team level you're much more nimble and faster, so you can then show off concrete results on this product team level. And that is maybe the thoughts on that.
Thank you very much, Eric. So I would like to switch to João, who runs the program management for shared services at Uber. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Urs and SSF, for the invitations. So I will be presenting and showcasing very, very briefly a bit more of the operational side and the in local things that Eric was describing, and also rather from instead of a product perspective, from a shared services perspective, as what we do is internal to our team. So I'll be very briefly just sharing here my screen with all of you. And we're going to run you through what is the stages of automation and how we reach our life cycle in automation and process improvement, as well as give you a very specific example. So to start off is our team here in Krakow, in Poland. We mainly automate on two bases. Either we receive an ad hoc request where our business desires that we automate something, or we are adopting, centralizing, and optimizing processes which are done at scale or locally. And then we bring it in and we do it at scale. So usually in this example that I'll give you, we are running a process, any given business process. As we are running it, we usually tend to always find identify opportunities to automate it or to improve its quality. Now, in terms of optimizing any given run process, the best way for you to make it more optimal is to automate and eliminate steps. Once we are starting to find these opportunities, we explain to our stakeholders or the business partner that runs for whom we are running this process. We explain the concept, we explain the strategy, and we get an approval. Once approval is obtained, which is key for us, we start writing our code, whichever script. At Uber here, we mainly work on Python rather than R. And then once we have that, we start getting ready to implement. Now, we only ever, and if I have to give one advice to anyone on this call that will ever deploy anything, is test it 529 times before you deploy it, because the 530th time you will test it, it will break. So just an advice is really always test before you press anything live. Once we go live, we're monitoring, we consistently report and make sure that one, there is nothing that has gone outside of the norm. And usually for that, our team consists of 4 verticals. We have data science team, the process execution team, and this process execution team gives it to automation, and then we also have the data analytics team. All of this sits within one combined pillar, which is ideal in terms of optimization of the skill set. The thing that also allows is for this cross-functionality and cross-help. So we then have our analytics team that designs and dashboards and monitors the results of the automation, and also that the automations are run within the specific set and agreed time. Once we do that, we repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat, and you constantly work on improving whatever it is, the process that you've delivered. So now I'm going to give you an old example of something that the team has done for our business in the past, something that ideally everyone can relate to and understand what we mean. So in essence, this is due to the weather incentives for Eats. So if any of you has ever ordered from Uber Eats, you've noticed that your food delivery, depending on the country you are from, may have been brought by a courier that travels on a bicycle. If you are in the US, you'll actually mainly see couriers in cars, but in Europe, our couriers mainly travel by bicycle. So it is usual we're giving incentives depending on the weather. That is because if it's raining, we actually get far more orders from people because nobody wants to go out of the house, so they order Uber Eats. So we have actually less couriers for the amount of orders. The ratio is much lower. So we incentivize and we give different pay for during these moments. The way it was once done was when we absorbed this process was that it was done by multiple teams locally, and each team pretty much worked on the basis of, oh, it's raining, and they went online and they changed the incentive for the couriers. So this was in essence what was happening more or less when we took it over. We were covering from 70 cities We had 2 headcounts and then allocated just for this. And we had to do weekend shifts. There was the expectation that once it starts running, within 1 hour and a half, the back end would have been changed. And regrettably, it does rain over the weekend. So we had to have manpower during the weekends just for this, which is not the most efficient thing. So how did we end up in 847 cities? And it's a fully automated, and today no one is actually assigned to this process unless there is an alert from an incident management perspective. So it was bit by bit, and it took actually 2 years. That's why we kept saying repeat, repeat, repeat. Initially, we wrote a Python script, and in essence, we were collecting the weather data using Google and available online options. We integrated this with our SMS, where we were delivering information to our couriers. And then we also linked into our payments tools in terms of automatically defining that they would be getting a higher fare for each delivery. We then created an opt-in and opt-out, which triggers the campaign automatically based on very specific criteria for the weather. As we keep going, we start to receive on-demand requests. We had the UKI wishing that we would have a campaign duplication check. So that meant we then now have to ensure that we don't have overlapping incentives to the couriers. That could be a bad experience. Instead of having someone do that manually, we had it for a few weeks. We then developed a new script that would go and double check. Are there any other incentives that could potentially overlap? In France, they did not like the idea that we were using open source, so they wanted us to use only the official governmental meteorological data. So we created an API that went to get the governmental data from France in order to see that. We carry on monitoring and controlling, and one of the things that's very, very important is monitoring and controlling. So we started creating automatic emails that went to local teams so they could go check. We have logs that check on every single item. As of today, or actually as of already over 2 years ago, we actually have information security things put in, and also security for our couriers. In case, for example, we now can do the differentiation between snow and rain, meaning that in case of an extreme weather, we actually blocking all campaigns from taking place within that region, and we are sending information to our couriers, incentivizing them to actually stay home and not ride their bicycles because of extreme weather. So this is a practical, simple example as in which manner, by automation, by digitalization, you can actually make your processes more efficient, because in this case, we optimize our headcount, who could now take over harder and different processes because it has been fully automated. And naturally, it's much better for our local teams and our couriers.
Thank you, Joao. That is a very lively and very concrete example on how you can use these, especially automation in your area of services. Especially this, but how I understand it, it gives you a lot of digital agility, yeah, integrating all these information sources, and it allows you to kind of create a hyper awareness. You can really on the spot get all the informations in, and then later this or afterwards this allows you, of course, to a proper informed decision making, whatever you want to recommend to all your drivers and also customers. I mean, with the incentives in the end. I have you mentioned in the beginning testing. I have a question. Please allow me quickly before we switch to Kamil. The testing, do you use also beta versions for your customers or for these kind of things, or do you first you first test internally, but do you have this step in between to use beta versions before you go completely live?
Yes and no. It would depend on the project. We do try to be agile and use agile as a framework and methodologies. So it does mean that there are certain things that we deliver where we know that the end goal is to have this either bots, automation, dashboard, even in terms of data analytics, we also work under Agile, where we want this amazing octopus with 10 legs that looks super pretty. But when we start, the octopus will have only 2 legs and will only be able to do 2 things. And then we start building on top of it and building on top of it sprint after sprint. So it would really depend on the project, but we do defend and we are more adept of an agile matter, which means that in large projects that take months, yes, we will create an MVP that is the viable product and go with it and then start incrementally building on top.
Did you have see any direct impact or correlation to an impact of customer satisfaction in regards to with this project, or do you measure this?
You mean on this one?
Yes.
The example I gave on the weather incentives?
Yes.
Our main goal was actually productive hours, ensuring that by doing this, we would increase the production hours. It was immediately done because instead of an account manager or territory manager doing it, there was someone in the Krakow Center of Excellence. So right there, we are already achieving our goal because one person centrally for the whole Europe is more efficient than every multiple people in each location. And then our man hours, that was the efficiency. So that was the number one way to get a direct impact. Unfortunately, if we were to, for example, measure the courier satisfaction, this would be one item out of many. It would be very, very complicated to get a direct correlation between this process and how fast an incentive is put online and their feedback.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel. Good.
Pleasure.
So I would pass on the microphone, so to say, to Kamil. Thank you very much for joining, and stage is yours, Kamil.
Thank you very much for having me. Let me share my screen. Okay, I hope you're able to see it. So let me tell you a little bit more about our transformation. So the backup platform transformation. During this time, we embark our journey to modernize and enhance our systems. The need for transformation was pretty simple: to save the money on the solution cost and to limit the number of tools which we have to perform exactly the same task. Previously, we had 3 tools doing a similar job, not all of them enterprise, not all of them modern enough to say that any of them could stay with us as a final solution. So we decided to combine the workload done by all of them and choose another one. So we started from gathering the requirements and analysis phase, then the solution design and planning phase, and platform selection and procurement phase. At this point, we already knew which solution we will choose. We asked all the vendors if they could deliver that and so on. We are pretty sure that it's the moment when we already have the winner and we will go through that. And that was the plan transformation, right? The picture which you can see on the screen is how it should be when we plan it. We still plan to have the previous solutions with us till probably monitoring and optimization phase, decommissioning them at the end after the 3 months of the retention, and switching them after implementing the tools with the client ends. So how it went? When we thought about it and our journey till that moment, everything went pretty well, except the first issues occurred just after the testing and quality assurance phase. We realized that there are some clients, some endpoints, around 10% of them, but for us really crucial, which cannot handle the workload of the backup. Those servers were running on 70–80% of the resources utilization for most of the time. But from time to time, there was month end, quarter end, or any other situation which require extensive workload. And then on top of that, backup started or was triggered. And it went pretty badly for those servers. Most of them spikes up to 100% in resource utilization. Some of them even hung during the backup process. We received a lot of complaints from our customers saying that, okay, guys, your backups are killing our servers, right? You cannot run it this way. We have to still stay with our previous solution. We realized that that's the workload which was done by only one solution previously was causing some problems. So we switched people back to the previous solution and decommissioned 2 out of 3 of them. We finished our project with ending up with 2 solutions. One working on around 90% of the workloads. The second one on another 10. We call it partial success, but for some of us it was a fail. So we thought, okay, what we can do with that? We gather our most complaining customers during the lesson learned sessions. We ask them to be vocal, to share with us everything which was the pain point for them. We back to the blackboard, we discuss the pain point with the stakeholders, and we gather the requirements which have to be met. We knew that, okay, some of the servers which cannot handle the extensive workload during backups previously were backed with the solution which do not require any application be running, any backup application be running on the server. So they have not observed that with the previous solution, right? We thought, okay, that's one of the things which we surely need to have in our new solution. And then we went through the second transformation attempt. The attempt on which we started from the platform selection and the procurement phase, when we already knew what we are looking for, what have to stay with us, and compared to the previous one, we left with one of the solutions which was with us from the beginning, but we ensured that the new solution which we will choose as a final goal will be able to incorporate that solution in it, which means that we combine them both together. Allow still to use single pane of glass as our backup platform, but at the same time, for some of the customers, some of the servers, it went smoothly. They have not even observed that backup was triggered or completed. They just receive a report of the completion. Nothing really more. And that was the moment when we realized that we are in really good shape. So we are currently in now phase. We have not completed that yet because, as you probably can imagine, we invested a lot of time on testing and quality assurance phase. So we are still testing the solutions and ensuring that they will be working well. But so far, we have not received any complaints. Our backup times are much better compared to the previous solutions from the first attempt, or even the previous solutions from the initial phase. So we are right now in much better shape, but still it helps us a lot with lesson learned sessions, knowing that people can share a lot with you when they have pain points to discuss, right? They have some requirements which for them are pretty normal. They said that it's something which everything could fit, but then we realized it wasn't, right? And when you ask them, okay, please be honest, what was the pain point for you? They are pretty vocal about it. They are pretty vocal when they are complaining that, okay, your solution is affecting performance of their applications. So we really get a lot by doing the lesson learn session here. We are almost done. Monitoring and optimization phase should start in May, and we should end up that second attempt in probably end of Q3, August, maybe September. All from me. Thank you. Urs, we
Urs?
cannot hear you.
Urs, you muted.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, so I muted myself. Please allow me two questions. You were already live when the first issues occurred, or was that still in the testing phase?
We went live. I mean, in terms of backup solution of that scale, it was live for like 90% of the servers already. So we went with like the last 10% when issues occurred. So it was live. Nobody complained from that like 90%. The last 10% started complaining. So it was live. It was generating promising results for us, at least on the beginning.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for also for sharing a case where you really had obviously some issues. If you would sum up what were basically the pitfalls, and how would you recommend to somebody in a similar situation to avoid these pitfalls?
So for us, really important was to understand that we are causing the solutions, right? The issues here. Our solution is causing them. Because our vendor was saying, yeah, it's not on us, right? Your service should be able to handle the backups. So you should tweak your servers. And okay, we thought, why not? Let's do it. But then when we asked the application owners, we realized that additional resources could cost a lot of money, right? When you think about databases whose licenses are based on the resources, and you add more resources to the server, you have to pay more for the licenses, right? So it was something which we get up really quickly, and not always checking, agreeing with vendor that okay, if something should be done this way, then you should adjust. So yeah.
Did you ever in this process consider to fall back to the former solution?
We can call it fallback, right? Because we still end up with staying with one of them. We stayed with one of the three previous solutions. So yeah, we can call it callback. But at the same time, we transform two of them, which went pretty smooth. So we thought, okay, we'll end up with two solutions instead of initial four, including three previous and one more. Yeah, we can call it a fallback here.
If I may ask, how did I mean? The end project was about cost complexity reduction and efficiency, right? That's what that was like next generation technology, right? How were the discussions with your own management on that topic, if I may ask you?
So we were pretty transparent. I mean, for me, the transparency is the key, right? If something is not going well, and you will hear complaints, they will go to your manager no matter what, right? So you have to prepare your manager for it. You have to provide all the details and say why our customers could feel let down with the new solution, and why they would like to switch to the previous one. So we're trying to be pretty transparent, and of course we really value that feedback, and we stated that, right? It's not about leaving them with the solution which is not filling their needs. It was always for us the importance of showing where we are, what we would like to achieve all together with their help. If they help us with getting the better solution, but at the second attempt still counts, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Kamil.
Thank you very much.
I would like to switch to Robert and offer Robert the stage for his case.
Thank you. Pallavi, can you share your screen? I can try. Ah, very good. Okay, I brought to you some very small projects we are currently doing. So just a little promotion up front. Homicide and Pharma GmbH, we are a mid-sized company located in Germany. We are affiliate of Lupin. Lupin worldwide operating pharmaceutical company, everybody knows. Just to set the stage, 44 million revenues. So you hear I'm coming from finance now. Current AI project that we are having, we are just dipping into that. We have like the ChatGPT that we are trying to use for our own goods. We have media monitoring and then internal research we are looking at. So I briefly go through this project and then I will just emphasize on the media monitoring afterward. So on the ChatGPT, we are trying to see what we can do with that technology. We are testing ourselves. We trying to do something for our patients, for the doctors that are there. We have our website and we, behind a few barriers, we want to integrate this GPT where we can see that they can interact with information that have already been given, but in a different way. For the internal research, what we are doing is we have lots of studies laying around that needs to be filtered, clustered, and summarized. We want to get ahead of that and use the power of our AI vendor there as well. And what I want to show you next is the media monitoring. Pavi, can you go to the next page, please? Okay, let's see. Thank you. Here we go. So we had very basic problems that everybody probably can relate to right now. We are short of skilled personnel, obviously, just like it's stated here. So every resource that we have needs to be used to their best way possible. And what we've seen is getting AI up to stage. It can leverage lots of things that currently have been done in the manual phase. So we were trying to see what can we do more automated, more complex situations with that AI. Just a disclaimer here up front, the current status that we see is just in the testing phase, what we have, but we have very promising results right now, okay? Can you go to the next page, please? Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. The problem itself was that the pharmacovigilance department, which is more or less safety for drug safety department at our end, needs to monitor several magazines and websites because when the product is mentioned there, maybe with some new side effect that nobody knew about yet, we need to alarm certain departments and authorities there. That leads to a very, very manual process, meaning that a resource needs to go to that website, needs to check the website, read through that website, and then do the documentation and do that. Very time consuming, obviously. So the idea was to have a dashboard and an alarm and an AI setup that is crawling through this website, is crawling through the PDFs, through the magazines, and automatically pinging us if there is an alarm. So we are getting alarms then when our product is mentioned, and we can have a link and click on that and have a look at this as well. Additionally, we have a dashboard implemented as well, where we can see what the filters, which website is there, which magazines are there, and what the history of that is. Okay, can you go to the next page, please? Yeah, here we go. We are now in the second of 3 phases. The first phase was just, okay, is it possible to even implement that? We needed to have a pilot. The pilot was there. The pilot is working. And now we're in the fine-tuning phase. So sometimes the results that we see are a little too much. Sometimes it's not enough. And now we just need to see where the best balance is right now. Since this is in very, very restricted area and very GMP area right now, we are looking at, we need to test that very, very long. So we have a redundant process of this manual approach and this automated approach at the same time for around 6 months we are looking at right now. And this phase we are. And afterwards, we will have the decision of if we want to proceed here or not. So what we are is we have a weekly call with our AI vendor, the service provider. And we are seeing, okay, are there problems? Is it looking good at his side? Is it looking good at our end? And where do we need to improve still? So main problem would just be that we are seeing anything, but the AI is not. So that is the worst case scenario. And that's what we want to mitigate right now. Yeah, and always it's been very important to see that the internal resources are also included here, not only the ones that are directly working with it, but to also get the buy-in of the managers and the board itself. I think that's it. Yes.
Thank you very much, Robert. That's a very interesting, especially because it's in the area of AI. And yeah, what you explained to us is what's called social listening, right? So you go into, you just scroll around and see what's in the net, talking about our product and about our solutions. This allows you, of course, this hyper awareness, right? This that you really are on the top edge of information, and that you can take then an informed decision making on what is out there, the information which is out there. Where do you see, I mean, was there a special idea about it, or was that just more a trial what you did? Or where do you see the real added value of this solution?
Yeah, there are lots of layers to this. On the one hand, we hope to see that the resources can value added work elsewhere when they are not doing that what they right now are manually doing. But the first thought that we had with AI was, okay, what can we do? What would be the first best thing to do? I mean, everybody gets the idea of doing ChatGPT with their information that they have, and actually, that is also what we did. But we saw, okay, where are redundancies? Where are things where we have very manual processes that can be repeated quite easily? And we came quite fastly to that decision to go ahead with this one. And also this information, you obviously right with that. This is very important because we need to stay ahead of that. We cannot miss any information out there that is concerning our products, especially when it's about like these kind of side effects or something.
Do you see that this brings you a competitive advantage?
Actually, on the one hand, this project alone is probably something that we have an advantage with, because on the one hand, we can say, okay, we are using AI, which is also good for evolving of our employees. So we have benefits there. We can tell them, here you can see it's a small company using AI already to a certain extent, but we can also see we can leverage from that project itself. The third project that I mentioned with the with that PDF scrolling and go through, that is something like a derivative of that. So we are seeing, okay, that is working, and now we want to leverage to other projects as well.
Thank you. I see that as well, especially also because everybody's developing, I guess, also in that direction, but you have a kind of a first mover advantage or early mover advantage.
Let's hope so.
I have one question from the audience here, specific one. How do you integrate the role of artificial intelligence in the digital transformation? You gave us a very good example, Robert. The other participants, in how far do you see that, or have you already executed something in that area? Maybe I don't know, Eric, did you have already interaction with artificial intelligence?
Certainly, yes. And it's always, a fancy topic. What do you do with artificial intelligence? So usually you see a lot of projects that are like shiny, cool things. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly good to have a tangible result, but at the end of the day, there needs to be an AI strategy, and that entails a lot more of work strategically than just to connect to a ChatGPT bot or something like that, which is a great start. Yeah? Honestly, with this strategic integration of AI, it's kind of a struggle because it's a moving target. And it's a relatively new topic, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
I'm not the guy who strategically implemented an AI-like framework enterprise-wide. Maybe there is another speaker who has more experience about that.
Yeah, I wanted to also ask Joao, because your company is one on the forefront on the platform business. whether you can share some insights on this artificial intelligence. I mean, you talked about automation, which is like the pre-step, but do you also run some projects which you can talk about? I mean, I don't want to push you to disclose some secrets, but
okay. So answering broadly in terms of, the role of AI in digital transformation, I think in essence it enables. I think at every turn we should always look at artificial intelligence as an enabler. If we look in certain things that I described earlier, actually AI can have a very, very strong job working alongside and enabling us to be more efficient in data analytics and process automation. It can never actually do. I would never say that they can, at least not today. Some LLMs maybe start to be able to do that. But I would not rely on AI to do your automation or your data analytics. I would rely on AI to make it faster and to make it more efficient and to also validate some of the most impressive work I actually seen done with the usage of AI has been around QA, quality assurance. Specifically, for example, even in the customer area. Now, if you're a company with a very large customer support, if you would ask me, I would say part of your digitalization or the usage of AI should look at the QA more so than immediately try to develop an LLP. So the natural language processing, which is very much like the new generation chatbots. The work that you can do in QA will improve your processes to a level that no NLP can do today, and then you later on can go beyond that. Not to mention more technical areas, which we do. Like for my team, it can enable you creating models that predict certain behaviors, such as fraudulent behavior. Now, we cannot take action in the European Economical Area. It is illegal to take any action against any person based on that. That's why you always need the human. But AI can assist that human.
In how far can it give you information or support you in the fraudulent area?
It will create. It's able to create a short list of indicators. And then you, without any further information, then because you cannot give further information. But let's say you have a set of actions that were taken that could be indicative of something, and you then give to a person and say, review the orders, review the actions. Do you see fraud there? So you just look for certain indications, certain behaviors, certain orders.
Okay, thank you. Looking into the future, now we're talking about digital transformation. Looking into the future, where do you see the risks, a general risk or specific risks of digital transformation topics which we deal with? Maybe Robert, if I can ask you this question.
I mean, if you're relying too much on something, just like Zhao also said, when you're not very keen on how that is working. I mean, that's one of the problems that we see. Nobody really understood the LLM to 100%. And if you just bring something in and something else is coming out, but you do not know what is happening in between, that is always on the black box that we are looking at. That is a very, very key risk that we are looking at. So just like Zhao said, I mean, cannot rely 100% on something. You always have to verify, you always have to validate. And that is something that is still there. And the risk is there that you go to the wrong lane then.
Especially when you talk about AI, right? Because the results are not always black or white correct. So there was just today I heard in the news that there's a first case in Germany that they want to sue. No, it was in Austria that they want to sue ChatGPT. So because it writes wrong information when you go into search of people, which also is like the more concrete you ask, the more mistakes it has in there. especially in your field, Robert, I mean, when you are in this area of social listening, you have a lot of information where you need to take some judgment on. How do you ensure that this is not going in the wrong direction there?
I mean, just like I said, the resources are still there, and we just need to make sure that what they're doing is just a little shifting. I mean, it's not we're not getting rid of these kind of employees there. They just need to do things differently. They need to challenge these systems. So it's just like you said, on the one hand, we need to take care of how it is trained, the system, right? The other, I'm just talking about AI right now. The other thing is that we always need to stay ahead of the development. The field is growing very, very fast right now. I mean, we get new ideas every week right now, and it's getting faster and faster. So the problem will stay there. So it will be very, very difficult for us to see that.
Thank you. I have one more question from the group. There was one concrete one in regards to Camille. Now it disappeared. Did you answer it directly?
Yeah, I answered it, but I can do it again here. So yeah, the question was about how challenging it was to get back again and decide about the second attempt, and it was very challenging, right? Because of course the idea of having only one backup solution was just coming from the top, right? So we knew that we'll have to make another attempt sooner or later, but it was very challenging to convince people for whom we create some problems and issues. We move them back again to the previous solution, which make them happy again, and say, okay, guys, let's go for that roller coaster again. Right, and it was very challenging to get them on the same bus with us to start the journey again. But when we explained them that we can offer them the solution which will be seamless for them, they will not really observe any additional issues, but it will be just incorporated into the new one. Still, we would like to test it. They agree to that. So it was challenging on the beginning, but of course, when we tell them how it will work, they said eventually yes.
Thank you, Camille. We are getting close to the end. The time is always too short for these very exciting discussions. Any special remark from your side, dear speakers? Otherwise, I would just wrap up.
Maybe just one from me.
Yes.
So please do not be afraid to fail, right? I mean, there is no business which is running 100% success. So if you fail, just state you fail, start again, and it will work well for you, right? The sooner you say that it was a failure, the sooner you can start building the new solution and work. Go through the new transformation. So yeah, just be not afraid to
it's a
fail.
path, right? It's a path to the future. We need to go ahead, and there are stepstones on the way where you just need to be and pitfalls where you need to be careful that you don't step in it, right? So I will
Exactly.
thank you very much again. We still have some open questions. We will definitely answer them one-on-one. I want to thank each of our panelists for sharing their valuable insights with us. Your guys' experience and the strategies and the projects with these ones, you have really greatly contributed to our understanding of the next step and the pitfalls of digital transformation. Especially, I want to thank you for openly sharing about these pitfalls and also the questions, which is for sure a great advice to the audience. A big thank you also to our audience. Your questions and participation have made this webinar a dynamic exchange of ideas. We hope that you found it also useful and engaging. Please stay connected for more information. We will do further sessions here, and we will happy to be stay in touch. All of us, also the panelists, please feel free to contact the speakers or myself, especially on LinkedIn, to build our network together. I would thank you again all for joining us today. And I wish you all success in your projects and hope to see you at the next event, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.